Welcome to episode 137 of the Campus Comics Cast, the official podcast for Muddy Monster Comics, located at 1422 Walnut Street in Murphysboro, Illinois, and now online at muddymonstercomics.com. So be sure and stop by the website and check it out. My name is Scott Reed, and I am joined on this episode by
Mike Atchison
and Chad Schubert.
And, of course, not to be outdone by Warner Brothers Discovery DC. In this episode, we're going to announce our 10-year plan for the Campus Comics Cast. So here it is, 2 to 4 episodes per month with a previews episode, and at some point, maybe change the name of the podcast. Am I forgetting anything?
That covers it.
Right.
Okay, all right. So, all right, there's our 10-year plan. You heard it here first.
It's probably a little more solid than DC's even.
It may be. It may be. So, because they've never announced a 10-year plan before.
Yes.
Insert eye roll. All right. So, of course, even though this is a previews episode, we are going to take a couple of minutes, talk about a couple of big news items. And, of course, one of those is this announcement from DC, Warner Brothers. I should say Warner Brothers Discovery DC, right? About their new 10-year plan. This all started with the canceling of several movies that, as far as I know, are finished and ready to go. They're just completely dropping them. So Shad, what was your first thought when you heard this announcement from Warner Brothers?
They're lost. They just they don't know what they're doing still somehow, and they're still, I think, holding on to. They want the Marvel package.
Mm-hmm.
But DC isn't the Marvel package, and if they would stick to their thing, which is, and it always has been, and because they've been in the movie game longer than Marvel has, is do some cool standalone stories, whether it's a trilogy or whatever of movies, but they don't have to interconnect. You don't have to build this bigger universe. You can do these really cool things. You can make some artsy kind of movies. You can make some big budget, just superhero stuff. You can do some weird things on the side. And that's what I always thought was cool. It was kind of the Elseworlds of movies when it came to DC's thing. And they just seem lost, just like they kind of do with their plan for their comics. And like they had this big plan of what they were going to do, and it always falls short of it, and they redirect before it actually becomes what they want it to be. And they don't put in the time and the investment that Marvel has done with their universes. They've put in the time, they put in the investment to go, okay, this is going to pay off, and it did pay off, and it does pay off. But with DC, they want a knee jerk before they even wait for the payoff. And it seems like what they're doing here again.
I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Ditto.
Okay.
I mean, he said everything I was going to say. It's even more disappointing for somebody like me who's, it's just the
You're
twilight of
a
my
DC
comics.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for, and the only bright spots, like you said, are those Elseworlds type movies. Maybe the B, C list characters, even if they're successful, I haven't enjoyed some of them that have been very, box office successful, like Aquaman. There was a lot of cringy moments, and I don't think it's not the Aquaman that I grew up with. And I'm not saying it all has to be what I grew up with, but they are lost as an Easter egg. They just meander from, and it's really not to be unexpected, because they have, this Discovery guy, Brian Aslaz or something like that. I mean, he's what is his name? David Zaslav.
Not to be confused with Victor Zaz.
Victor Zaz, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But you can't be surprised that they end up scrapping or kind of readjusting. But what really bothers me is that when they get this much production in the can, and a movie like Batgirl didn't only look good, but it had Michael Keaton as, as Batman in it, which was going to be sort of the first look at him as a mentor, and maybe it would have some nexus with the Flash movie, which now I'll let Scott talk about this, but I'm even less. It's even less likely that. I mean, even before the recent news. I mean, the newest news, literally minutes ago, news. I was like, well, this is the end of the Flash movie too. Because
but it's not. Yeah. So what Mike is referring about? This is an article from The Wrap. It just showed up. I was opening up my web browser for something else. And I got this news headline thing: the Flash star Ezra Miller charged with felony burglary in Vermont. And this is on top of all the other legal issues that he has had. This was posted as we're recording, at about 5:23 on August 8th is when this was reported. Now, this incident took place apparently back in May. But there it is. He was, arrested or charged. I guess I shouldn't say arrested. He was charged with felony burglary. And this is one of the things where in this clean wipe, this is kind of what bothers me is if you're going to start over, start over. Yeah. Right. And that's basically what they're implying. But no, that's not what they're doing. So as far as we know, the films that are still going to come out are Black Adam, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, which is the second Aquaman movie. The Flash is still on the slate for June of next year. A Blue Beetle movie. Now this is the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, not the Ted Kord. And then of course the follower-up to the Joker movie in 2024. And now they don't list the Batman 2 on this, but I'm assuming that that one is not going to be impacted by this announcement because it kind of sits in its own world. It's not really part of I don't really consider it part of the DC extended or extended universe myself. It kind of sits on its own thing. But this kind of reminds me of whenever DC did the whole New 52. Yeah. And it's like, we're wiping the slate clean of everything except Batman and Green Lantern. They're going to keep all their history. And they're doing the exact same thing here with their the movies. Like, okay, we're going to keep some of them. We're going to pick and choose. And even though we've got these movies already finished, like Supergirl, I think was done or close to done. Batgirl was finished or close to finished. Those are going to be scrapped because they don't line up with our 10-year plan. Now, I can't imagine that those movies don't make their way to HBO Max at some point. There's no reason for them, if they're done, to not finish them. It's a little bonus thing for subscribers to HBO Max. It'd be stupid for them to say, even put a disclaimer at the start, this is no longer part of the DC universe, but we wanted this movie out there, and I don't know, maybe they'll have to pay people money that they don't want to pay for something that they're only going to show on such a small basis. But I should have looked this up, but I also thought I saw an article where they had signed Gal Gadot for another 3 movies as well.
Really?
Yeah, and I probably should have looked that up before I said that. So, and I'll do that. But I don't know. You guys got any additional thoughts while I'm looking this up?
I think my biggest confusion is just I guess the continuity of the DCU still exists, and they're because they said they have a 10-year plan, but they haven't released what that 10-year plan is, right? They just have said we have a plan, or we want a plan that looks like Marvel's, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, they haven't released anything. They're just saying they have one.
And it seems real wonky then.
Yeah, I mean, the only way to get this, part of the reason the first 10-year plan failed is because I'm not saying I was a big fan of the depiction of Superman in Man of Steel, even though I know Scott, that's one of his favorite DC movies. I understand after time now, I understand what Snyder was trying to do. He was trying to show the evolution of him from being, looking for acceptance and then becoming that symbol of hope, and go from the darker grayer to the big bright. And but impatience of fandom, and then the Warner Brothers reacting or knee-jerking, like you said earlier, leads to things like just putting on fast forward the whole 10-year plan. They fit it into a 4-year plan, and then you got the Snyder, the fiasco with the Justice League movie that was half him, half Whedon, and it's just disappointing, really. But I get why. If Snyder's plan had the time to grow, it might have been more successful, and people would have accepted it more. I mean, they wouldn't have if DC hadn't have been so, didn't have that Marvel humor envy. If they didn't have that envy and want to be like Marvel, you wouldn't have all those goofy jokes in the Aquaman movie. You wouldn't have probably Ezra Miller playing a Flash that's not the Barry Allen that people know in the comics. So who knows? I guess it's hindsight now, but going forward, I really would. I think the only news that would make me feel more confident is if Henry Cavill announced he's still on as Superman.
And that's part of the issue is if you either need to have a clean slate and say we're going to reboot it and jumpstart it. Otherwise, if you keep Gal Gadot and you keep Jason Momoa and you keep even Dwayne Johnson, and they have that history back with the Henry Cavill Superman and the Ben Affleck Batman, and it's not going to make this gel properly whenever you're not keeping those characters around for 10 years. And and Cavill's in awesome shape, but does he have 10 more years to stay in that type of shape? To be Superman? I don't know. It's kind of a tough call, and it feels like they're going to scrap it. They should just scrap it completely and just start fresh. And I mean, obviously, people will watch a new origin movie for Superman or Batman. So it's why not just start over? I mean, I think the only real loss out of all of that cast, that still has an upcoming movie would be Gal Gadot, and her movies have not been the greatest. The first one was 2/3 of a good movie, and the second at 84 was and it wasn't very good at all.
No. So now I'll disagree with the first one. The first one I thought was it was maybe 3/4 of a good movie, but what that first 3 of the 4 I thought it overwhelmed that last act with the mustachioed Ares. I could overlook that because the rest was so inspiring. But then 1984 I thought was a rom-com. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And also WB, pretty much the Arrowverse is a done deal now because they announced this is Flash's last season for Grant. What's his name? Gustin. That's the last of those. I mean, I think you still have Stargirl. Not that I've watched any of these, and I haven't watched Flash in a long time, but I'm hoping that whole CW soap opera stuff is a thing of the past.
Well, even the HBO Max series like Titans and Doom Patrol and what's the third one?
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. Maybe they're up in the air as well.
That's what I heard. They're just gonna start with they're gonna have anything instead of having mediocre stuff. They're gonna have nothing.
Well, but again, if they're gonna do a clean swipe, then do that and drop Momoa, drop.
But surely now Quinn. That's Harley Quinn was actually good. It's animated too. I mean,
I think that is more because they're dropping their own studio. As opposed to as part of some cost savings but then again I'm going off of some headlines, and that's what I get for just reading headlines. I should dig into this a little bit deeper, but that may be more related to studio changes as opposed to the success or failure of some of those products. And they may say, hey, somebody else here, we've done the first 2 or 3 seasons, however many of Harley Quinn,
right,
outsource that to somebody else, and we'll see what happens. So other news, because we do want to get to previews, right? And this is, and actually it was Matt Martin, who was on the podcast for quite a while, sent me a message. Hey, did you hear what's going on at Valiant? And it's like, no, I have not. So apparently, almost everybody who is employed at Valiant, if you can take, this is an article from Bleeding Cool that was posted August 4th, and I found another article at comicbook.com. It basically says that everybody that they try to contact at Valiant is no longer with Valiant. And this includes people like Fred Pierce, who was the publisher. His status now says worked past tense at Valiant. There's Lisa Hawkins, who is a senior editor. Her status says former senior editor at Valiant. There's Cody White, who is the communication coordinator. He is now the former sales communication coordinator. And I couldn't verify this anyplace, but Matt Martin, if you've heard any podcasts that he was on, he's usually pretty in the know on this stuff. And he basically said that there were about 3 employees left at Valiant, if the information is to be believed, which doesn't bode well for Valiant. And if you look at their upcoming titles, and we'll see that briefly in this catalog even, there's not a whole lot there. So
what was the source?
So I've got it from, there's Bleeding Cool, and also from comicbook.com. They both have articles about layoffs, substantial layoffs at Valiant Entertainment. And a lot of it is tied to the current publisher basically had received about an $80 million infusion of money in about 2016. And that has kind of just dried up. And I think a lot of it's dried up because their movie attempt has not seen the success that they were hoping. Of course, Bloodshot was the last movie I saw in theaters pre-pandemic. And it kind of, was a victim of timing. It also it was an okay movie, but it just wasn't great. Probably not a good movie to kick off what they were hoping was going to be a Valiant universe. And I wasn't even aware of this, but apparently Valiant Entertainment had gone pretty heavily into NFTs. I need to find out a little bit more about that. And of course, the bottom fell out of that market, and that probably hurt their financials, pretty substantially as well. So I don't read anything Valiant, so it's not really going to affect my month-to-month comic book reading. But do either of you guys have anything you want to say about it?
No, just go ahead.
It's just another competitor that's gone, that could be gone. I think more than anything is the market. When you see a name like Valiant that's been around since the mid 90s, that kind of could potentially be whittling away or need a rescue plan of sorts, or as just you kind of look at that. You look at, I know Oni had some issues a while back. You see the dwindling catalog of IDW, and you go like, what's happening with the, if it's not the big 2 or Image, what's going on with these companies? And that part is more worrisome than anything. It's just, it's part of the industry itself.
Well, I can't remember the last time I seen a Valiant comic that caught my eye. I know it's if you want to go beyond the big 2, it's probably in the big 5 or 6, the second tier. But I never did. I mean, I think
more
early
like
on,
9. I saw like on monthly sales, and it's Valiant is more like number 9.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We got
Them
Jim
and
Shooter.
Dynamite.
It was his baby. After he left Marvel, he founded Valiant, and they put. I mean, the license. A lot of it was licensed. I mean, Turok and Solar, Robot or Magnus Robot. They were all. They all were.
And those are characters that if Valiant folds, they can find a home someplace else.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily going to see Bloodshot and
Archer and Armstrong,
Harbinger and Quantum and Woody. I've heard a lot of good things about Quantum and Woody. Never did read a book about them, but or with them. Yeah, I hope it's not canary in the coal mine type thing.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of consolidation going on, in lots of different markets, not just comic books. So
yeah,
it remains to be seen. So anyway, all right, let's get to the catalogs. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So let me get my act together here. So DC, who wants to talk about page 1?
More Batman.
Batman.
Did we mention DC is proud of Batman?
They like him a lot.
They like their Batman. So, but anyway, we have.
I don't understand how the main Batman title can hold the placeholder for page 1, no matter what. Nothing interesting happening at all. It just says their story continues.
Hey, Chip Zdarsky writing. I still haven't read issue 125 yet. I have it now. And we're going to read it for a future podcast. But
it's good.
Have you read it? Okay. All right. Good deal. So, that's holding my interest at least. And I'm through the Tynion run now, which was But so I'm ready for Zdarsky to see what he can do with the book. So
Yeah, and between Tynan and Zdarsky, you had Josh Williamson, who I was kind of charged up for too, but then he jumped and went to do some of the other big projects at DC. I'm going to continue. I haven't bought Batman as an ongoing for about a couple years, but I am again because of Zdarsky on it. And I've even, Jimenez, even though I'm in the minority, I wasn't always a fan of his, but I think I'm coming along.
I like it. I like his work in 125 for sure.
Yeah.
Page 2. We've got The Riddler Year One. So this is another one of those one-shots. This time it is written by Paul Dano, who, of course, was the Riddler in The Batman. Now, I don't know how that qualifies him to write the character. But
same way Danny DeVito could write the Penguin.
Wrote the Penguin. Right.
Well, how did that work out? I didn't read that. So.
I haven't read it, and I'm not going to. So there'll be assumptions made.
That's right. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I looked, and I don't think he has written anything, so this would be his first venture as writer, though he is the solo writer credited on this book, which I was like, oh, well, then he must have done at least somewhat well for him to not need to be co-writing with someone.
And I think I mistakenly said this was a one-shot. This is not a one-shot. This is a six-issue series.
Yeah.
So
prequel leading right up to the Batman, it says. So he better be on that roof getting ready to like assassinate the mayor or whatever it was at the very beginning, because if they're advertising right up to the point of the movie, then
otherwise it's false advertising.
That's right. I don't want to read it then. I want my money back on issue 6 if not.
I don't have anything until 12. I don't know what everybody else has here. What's everybody else got between 2 and 12?
Page 4, we've got the Batman One Bad Day Penguin issue. Just to mention that they're keeping up with this, swapping out their creative team. John Ridley is writing. Is that the guy who did the
12 Years a Slave?
And
he did the
history of the DC universe and the Black Panther,
right? And the new Batman, or whatever it was called, the
Future State.
Yeah, the Future State Batman, but it was called something.
Or I Am Batman. There's also
I Am Batman.
Batman.
He's a great writer. Right? I just don't like having 4 different versions of Batman floating around in the comics.
Right. Well, this one's about Penguin, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
Is this, what number is this? I know is this the third or the fourth one of these?
I think it's the third.
Third, okay, because there's supposed to be 5 of them, right?
That sounds right.
Okay. I'm still on 12.
If we want to talk a
punchline.
Yeah, I was going to say if we want
I'm just
talk about the punchline.
I was going to say, only to say I won't be getting that because that's one of the most useless characters in the last 5 years, 10 years.
They're really trying to push it, though. Like, you like punchline, right? We've got a book for him.
Yeah. That's the ticket.
Page 12, we got Batman Gotham Knights Gilded City #1. This is a 6-issue series, and I guess there's a Batman Gotham Knights game. I haven't played it.
It's not out yet.
Oh, okay, that explains.
It comes out the day that this book comes out.
Okay, so there are going to be, if you're looking forward to that game, there are going to be codes in all 6 issues of this series, and then if you redeem all 6 codes, you get a special 7th item. Woohoo! So it's basically like it was a Fortnite,
right?
Where you're gonna get some skins if you pick up the codes from this book. So if the game's successful, then people will probably want to pick up these books. So
there's also a new character introduction, right? The Runaway is that a new character? The book is essentially a tie into the game, but it is set in. It's a back and forth. Batman's dealing with a virus or something that's in Gotham, but it's not the first time that virus has been released to Gotham. It happened in the 1800s as well in Gotham, and the character, the Runaway, was who was battling against the villains to stop this virus at that point in time. Cool storyline. I don't think they really even needed to tie it into a video game.
No.
But the fact that it's tied in, it's like, okay, is the Runaway going to be part of the Gotham Knights?
No
thing,
idea.
Yeah. Well, and Gotham Knights is gonna be, it's set up to, Batman's not even a character in the game. It's the Bat family and I wonder if he gets taken out by this virus, and it kind of sets that up or something like that. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Page 14. Everything else in the Batman universe has gotten a year one story, so why not Gotham City itself? So Gotham City year one, they're giving Tom King a chance to kind of give us the prehistory of Gotham. I'm sure it's going to be a nice, bright, and pleasant place until year one occurs, and then it's going to be all downhill from there. So I don't know, Mike, is this something you're going to buy?
No, probably not.
It's Tom King. You've
Tom
accused
King
us of being the Tom King podcast. So.
Oh wait, I'm looking at GCPD, The Blue Wall. That's the John Ridley.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm on page 14.
Yeah. That. Oh yeah, I could see. And Phil Hester, this is more his style art than some of the books they put him on. But yeah, I'd probably get this. Yeah.
22 is my next thing.
I just marked that we're getting a new Batman Incorporated, and I know nobody on this cover whatsoever on page 16.
Got it here.
The Ghostmaker is from the Williamson run, right? Like that was a new character introduced then, or
is it Clown Hunter? I think they're on the right of Ghostmaker. Is it Clown Hunter? Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a Tynion creation. He created a ton of these characters.
I see.
Is that Squire in the very, very background? I'm assuming it kind of looks like Squire, and I recognize some of them, but I can't name a lot of them. So
it looks like they're just, here's a bunch of characters that were recently created that didn't take off on their own, so we have to put them in a book together.
There you go.
Kind of a thing.
we want to keep them relevant, so
yes.
There it is.
My next thing's not till 30.
Okay, so page 22. I'm just mentioning this because it's sort of a new character, but not really. Dark Crisis, the Deadly Green #1, written by Josh Williamson and others, but we're having introduced in this issue the Super Swamp Thing. So I guess it's a combination Superman and Swamp Thing. And I don't know if it's the John Kent Superman. It almost looks like the John Kent Superman from the picture, one of the pictures, but the other one looks more like Kal-El. So Clark, I don't know. Who knows? They probably don't even know yet. They're probably still writing it. So.
Yeah, probably.
I'm on 32, so I don't remember where you said you were at.
Okay, on 30. Let me get to 30. I'm
on 29.
There.
If you
go ahead.
Yeah. This only comes out, it seems like, every 4 to 6 months, but they have the latest issue of Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons. This is the third and final issue of the critically lauded and Eisner-nominated Secret History of the Amazon Crescendos with the Inevitable, an all-out war against the gods. So this one's written by Kelly Sue DeConnick. Well, I think she's writing all of them, but the art is someone different every issue, and it's Nicola Scott this issue. So Gene Ha was the previous one, Phil Jimenez was the first one, and that's where I think the Eisner nomination came from, was Phil Jimenez's work. Okay. But I'll be getting my name down twice, 3 times, 4 times to make sure I get this one.
On page 30, we've got the DC Terrors Through Time, which is just, it's coming out in October, so it's their Halloween special. But I thought the concept of it was neat. It's 8 new stories, and they're told throughout the DC timeline. We have at least what they've announced so far is a JSA story taking place in the 40s, a Gotham City Sirens story taking place in the 90s, a Swamp Thing story in the future. So I was like, oh, that's more than just, the same kind of recycled horror element, is that we got a little bit of taking place in different eras. Would be cool. And of the creators that are listed in there, Kelly Jones is doing a story in there. So I thought, you don't see Kelly Jones's name too much anymore.
Hopefully it's not just a reprint.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that, because it does have some older, like Paul Levitz. I'd get this, but the cover alone, it shows, I'm assuming, Jonathan Kent is the younger one before he was artificially aged. That was the way I liked him. So
yeah.
Page 32, we've got a new Static series. I always want to say Static Shock instead of just Static.
Right.
Yeah.
Static Shadows of Dakota #1. This is a 6-issue series, and I feel like they're hinting that we've got a new character in here named Eben. It was going to be maybe introduced in this series. I'm not familiar with a DC character named Eben. Are you, Mike?
No.
Okay, so
Mysterious
maybe
Eben.
a new character.
Yeah.
I said Eben because like ebony, is kind of what I'm assuming.
Or yeah, Eben. Yeah,
Yeah.
even yeah.
Yeah. And they kind of give some concept art for the character, so maybe.
Maybe should pick it up.
Yeah. And then I'm
gonna
not
turn
to the
out-
very end of the book on anything else, so.
Yeah.
On page 34, I just want to note that Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries is back. We were talking about team-ups the other day, a couple weeks ago, and that came to mind, and so I was like, oh, they're bringing it back.
They heard you and listened.
That's right. And that's it for me.
Okay. I just thought these were cool. It's on the very last page of the catalog, or not last page, but next last page. DC illuminated wall art. They have these kind of neon looking signs. They got the Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman. So if you need a neon like light for your room so that you can be blinded and not be able to sleep, then be sure to pick one of these. And $119, not terrible for something like this, I don't feel like. So not too bad. I don't know. They kind of get the sizes, 10 by 13, so they vary depending on the logo. The Flash is 14 by 9, so it just depends on the shape of the logo, kind of impacts the size there a little bit. And of course, the ad for the Sandman, which I really liked, and some things I really disliked. So,
have you finished it?
Did you watch the?
I finished it actually today while I was going through.
You binged it?
I binged it going through 8 long boxes of comics the last few days. So
nice. He's got time to binge things, Mike.
I was working. I was bagging boarding
job.
comics. What else do you do while you're bagging boarding comics?
That's
that's not my
man.
job. That's just for fun.
Yeah.
That's twisted that I'm doing.
I'm halfway through it.
I'm 0%. I actually think I might not even watch it at all and just reread the books and then watch it.
It's changed from the books and the same from the books, and I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
Because I don't changing of certain characters, like just for diversity, I think is good. But there's one change that they made in this one that I think they shouldn't have made, but that's neither here nor there. So the thing that bugs me the most about it is I don't like Patton Oswalt. He talks too much in this series. So.
I know you were on the last page, but on page 42, I wanted to mention that there's a Superman #1 facsimile edition, and I'll probably get it just because I ordered the Action #1.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Scott, you're the expert on this. I would think it's 64 pages, so it's going to have all of those other stories in it, right?
If it's a facsimile, it should have everything else from that issue. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's not like the reprints they did of like Action, like in the 80s, where it was just like the Superman story.
Yeah.
So it's only like 8 pages long.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So that should be everything. Yep.
That's it for me.
All right. So on to Marvel. I tell you what, we talked about this before we started recording. Man, Marvel made it tough to get their catalog this month. I wasn't able to get to the shop from the time Mike got the catalogs in till we recorded, and I had to go all over the place and finally tracked it down on Comixology. But even searching for it initially, I didn't find it. I had to go be very specific in my search to even track it down. It was a pain. So I guess Marvel doesn't want us buying any of their stuff this month. So
I don't know. Seems like it.
But I know, Mike, I know you want to talk about page 1.
Yeah, I'm page 1. I'm looking at the cover, but Miracle Man #0. I actually was at a shop up in northern Indiana a few weeks ago, and I got one of those comic shop news, and I read the back cover, and it had a nice little history of Miracle Man, and that really got me intrigued. So now that I see that it's solicited, Miracle Man number is 0. It's just going to be, I think, existing creators, writing stories about him. It's a giant sized one shot. People like Jason Aaron, Ty Templeton, things like that.
Nobody named Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, and of course Neil Gaiman, right? But he's there's other creators in this story.
Yes.
No, Neil Gaiman's not. I don't see his name even on the
on Miracle Man number 0.
Oh, they're doing a prelude to their upcoming new chapter. Okay,
on the
It's okay. So, and I'm reading this comic shop news instead of.
And then on page it's actually first name on both pages. So yes.
Okay, good.
He is involved.
But I'll get all this Miracle Man stuff, but I don't see solicited the Miracle Man by Gaiman in Buckingham Book 1, the Golden Age trade paperback, which collects that first story arc from.
I think they solicited it last month, and
what
was weird is they did that without giving any nod to the fact that, hey, you might want to wink, you might want to pick up this reprint of the Golden Age because they're gonna be doing another one next month. There was no kind of indication of it. They just quietly solicited it last month, and it was. Yeah. I felt like they probably would have had a lot more orders if they would have done it in the same month.
It cost them at least one person. But he's got an interesting history. I mean, he's the kind of character I'd like to read up on. So
yeah,
I don't want to see him on the Avengers team, but that's probably what they'll do.
Well, yeah, you're probably right. Since he'll probably replace Conan on Savage Avengers. Hey, because nobody was asking for it, a new Spider-Man number 1 on page 6.
How many? What issue did they get to before they rebooted?
I don't know.
How many number 1s of Spider-Man have we had just in 2022?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't even know. So,
but it brings Dan Slott back, I guess,
and Mark Bagley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. The Dan Slott run was good. I guess they just wanted to differentiate them, but gosh, is it so hard just to keep the numbering?
Yeah. They act like we can't keep track.
That's right. We're not intelligent enough to sort our collections. So actually, this makes it worse. So
it does. Yeah.
I'm way too dumb to sort my Spider-Man comic books now. You give me a stack of number 1s, and I don't know what order they go in at all. So.
But I was talking to Mike No the other day, and he goes, "Marvel's just afraid to say that they're all just miniseries." He goes, they haven't told anybody yet, but they're just doing a bunch of miniseries, and that's it.
Could be.
Until they hit a big issue number, then it's right back to legacy numbers.
Right.
Page 8, Axe Judgment Day number 6. We got the final issue for the Axe Judgment Day series. So I still haven't read the first issue because I don't know that it's even out. It maybe just came out. And since I haven't been to the shop in a couple weeks, I haven't picked up my copy. Well, they were doing 2 a month. Yeah. They were doing 2 a month, so.
There's like 40 books under this title with all the spinoffs, and it just now has started.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a single one of them yet. So my next thing's not till 21. So because everything between there is Axe Judgment Day stuff.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got anything they want to talk about for 21?
No.
All right. So Crypt of Shadows number 1 has Al Ewing has a writing credit on this. So that's good. Oh, and Rebecca Rowanhorse, who wrote the Echo series, or the Phoenix Song series. I just read that not too long ago. But I suspect, and you'll notice we've got several supernatural characters here on this Crypt of Shadows. Mm-hmm. So this may be a hint of where they're heading since the Darkhold has been destroyed in the MCU. This may be where they're heading with their supernatural storyline moving forward in the comics, and then that could eventually bleed over into the MCU. So maybe there's some hints there about where they're heading.
I'm noticing here, I wouldn't have been able to say this before because I've never read anything by Jed MacKay, but I finally got around to reading Timeless, the Kang the Conqueror one-shot, which I thought that was outstanding. And I thought the writing was a big part of it. So I have to keep an eye on what this Jed MacKay does.
So if you want to pick up Moon Knight, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at here. Yeah.
My next thing's on 26.
Same.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is Wakanda #1, and it is exploring what Wakanda is like without a Black Panther, in a series of what appears to be one-off stories. This first issue being how Shuri handles it, and with a backup story of the history of the Black Panthers. I thought, is in the comic world, is Black Panther dead? Is that
No?
okay?
So
I didn't think so.
what happened was he left because there was this whole, I'm trying to remember the exact name, the Galactic Empire of Wakanda storyline that was back in the Ta-Nehisi Coates era,
yeah.
which is not too terribly long ago. Then John Ridley started writing. So I'm just started reading some of the John Ridley stuff. But so he's gone. So while he's gone, they basically turned Wakanda into a democracy. So he comes back as the king. And now he really doesn't have his place to be.
Gotcha.
Because they're no longer, aristocracy. Is that the right term? They are now a democracy or something resembling a democracy.
A monarchy, I think.
Yeah, thank you. That's correct. Thank you. That's what I get for trying to use big words. I only have 4-cent words that I can use.
They got presidents instead of kings.
Yeah, mine's got the full 5-cent words. So I think that's kind of tying into what's going on in the regular Black Panther title.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not digging this Art Germ Killmonger cover though. I'm not a huge fan. And the other cover by Nick Klein, it's like Black Panther just looks wrong. His shoulders just look wrong.
Everything, he looks a little bit too swole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Rob Liefeld Captain America.
I noticed that on the very next page, they've got Namor miniseries, and you would think that they're doing that because he's going to be showing up in this new Black Panther movie.
Mm-hmm. He's going to be in Wakanda forever. Yes, he is.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited to see Namor. He's an interesting character.
I'm interested, and we'll talk about that when we do our San Diego Comic-Con news. I'm interested in some of the changes that they're making to this character, and I think it could be interesting. So
yeah, I mean, anybody that has wings on their ankles is pretty cool. That lets them fly.
And written by Christopher Cantwell.
Yeah,
I missed that the first time through the catalog. So I don't have anything else in Marvel.
I got 66. That's the only thing I got.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. And 66 is just to mention there's nothing that gives you any backstory or idea of what actually is going on. But Star Wars: The High Republic #1, Volume 2 is starting. Essentially, it's their second phase of High Republic. They had said that they would be releasing this big to-do of books and comics and whatever in phases, and this is the second one of that. And that's all I've got to say about it. There's nothing else to say really in that description.
Well, there's too much to keep up with.
Yeah.
I mean, between books and comics and movies, and they haven't done any TV stuff yet. Well, they haven't done any movies yet either. But the books and the comics alone is just, I don't see how anybody can keep up with all that. So.
Well, they kept it pretty easy for a while in that they had the main book, and then IDW had their adventures book, and that was it for a while. And then they started doing like these miniseries that would pop up, and then they had novels that were going on.
I was gonna say they were also doing prose novels though.
They did prose ones, and then they do young adult novels, and so you kind of, if you really wanted to hold on to all of it, you had to keep up with not only a bunch of stuff, but a bunch of stuff written for different ages, which was kind of what through me even was like, I've got a reading level of young adult, so I can read that, but I really the prose novel not so much. But I mean, I kept with both of the main comic series for the first, I guess probably 12 issues or so. So I'm not too far off from being caught up with them. And you didn't need to know everything else to be able to follow along with them. They were all just they all seem like stories that are in their own pocket of the galaxy at the same time or around the same time. They kind of are all dealing with the idea of the rise of the dark side and what the dark side even means. to everything, because up until that point, they're kind of used to just good people and then bad, the Force being only a thing for good, and then they are kind of introduced to how the Force can be used in this dark side kind of way.
Oh, okay. So it's almost pre-Sith.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Big book.
Big book.
All right. So if you got something before page 28, I'll just say on page 28, we got the previews catalog. Orders need to be in by August 18th. Preferably, you maybe got a day or two, especially since Mike has switched over to doing catalog orders. If you don't have an order form, he has those forms available in the shop, as well as a copy of previews, several copies of previews that you can flip through in the store. So be sure. 32 is my first thing. What's everybody else got?
That was mine too, but go ahead.
You go ahead.
I mean, I guess it's 32 because I'm going off the PDF page.
Junkyard Joe number 1.
Yep, that's it. So
32. Yep.
Yeah, I've picked up the Geiger books, the first trade, and I haven't started reading it yet. But I mean, this looks too much like GI Robot not to pick up. So I definitely would get the color version. But
but here's a reason why you should pick up the other one. Because on the other one, they're going to donate $2 for every issue purchased to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans. So that in and of itself is a reason to pick up a copy of the special black and white Veterans Edition.
I hadn't read that. Now I'm feeling guilty. I guess I got to buy both copies.
That's okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to tout that one. I mean, it's Gary Frank art, with Jeff Johns, and they're a great duo. So I think it'll be good.
38 is my next thing.
Okay.
I guess that's the next book, because I have
the next one. Yeah.
Were you going to talk about this, Chad? This looks like the kind of book you would talk about.
I mean, I had flagged it. Yeah.
Okay, go.
I didn't have much to talk about it except for that Joshua Williamson's writing. It's a horror comic set in a horror themed amusement park, which I just thought was like, now I want one of those. If I don't think that exists in real life, but that was really
a little on the nose named Devil Land.
yes, with the big ride being called the Devil's Due. There's maybe not a lot of creativity in the naming, but.
Joshua Williamson's usually a pretty solid writer, so this could be an interesting book. So, my next thing's not till 92.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I've got 44. Is a book called Hitomi, I believe. Number 1 is a young female warrior in feudal Japan, working to become a samurai, which doesn't immediately grab me, except for the artwork is very Japanese style, like kind of artwork, and that they promise monsters in there, and if there's monsters, it's going to be good. If there's not monsters, because it says in the line, let's see, she'll have no man, monster, or myth can give her the title of samurai. She'll have to take it for herself. And so there better be monsters, because otherwise it's just a samurai story, and I'm not necessarily needing to read another one of those. But the monsters can make all the difference. And then on 48 is Kaya, Kaya, number 1. And this is Wes Craig is doing all the work on this book. He's doing the writing and the artwork. It's a road trip story, which I like a road trip story. Where the older sister has a magic arm, and she has to get her brother to a safe haven. And so I like this concept. I like the Wes Craig artwork. So this kind of thing definitely works for me. I'm going to pick this one up.
And all those books are from Image. I don't think we said that.
Yes. So. Yeah, we're on Image. Yep. And then that's all for me in Image.
Okay, like I said, I'm not till 92, which is Boom. So if you guys got anything before Boom 92.
I just want to say that on page 81, we've got the 5th issue of Public Domain, which out of the handful of indie titles I've been picking up, this is my favorite one. It's by Chip Zdarsky. He's doing the writing, the art. Yeah, he's doing it all. And I'm really enjoying it. It's it's interesting in that it's a comic about the creation of comic books, and it's about creator rights. And I don't know, are either one of you picking this up?
I have the first issue. I haven't read it yet, so.
Yeah, so just wanted to point that out. It's a good one. So that's all I got for a bit.
I think you're good on 92 then.
Okay, so page 92. This is from Boom Studios. We have The Approach, which is a 5-issue series from Jeremy Hahn with his regular co-creator, co-writer, Jason Hurley. They've done several projects together in the past. I always like to point out Jeremy Hahn books because he was at my convention a few years ago. Really nice guy. But this is about a plane that crash lands in a storm, and apparently the plane had been missing for 27 years. So who knows what will happen, what truth they will uncover as we learn the story about this plane in this 5-issue series from Jeremy Hahn called The Approach.
I like this concept. It's very Stephen King-y kind of vibes coming from it.
116 is my next book.
I got 98. Is a book called Damn Them All from Charlie Adler, which is from Walking Dead fame. He's the artist on the book, co-creating, and it follows an occultist who is an occultist for hire who has to deal with 72 devils that are on the loose in the world. And so it seems like it's hard to believe that it's only a 6-issue series if you got 72 demons that you got to worry about.
12 per issue. I don't know what you're expecting.
Better get to work. The interiors look great though. I mean, if you like Walking Dead artwork, this is that colored. I think it's even more on his game. It definitely seems like improved upon that. And then I've always dug Charlie Adler's artwork colored better than I did even black and white. So but you get a lot of it black and white over the years, so
oh yeah. I'm still at 116.
107, just a quick mention. If you like the Power Rangers, you can get the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers short box. And you can actually order one at a time for that, which is I don't know if I've seen that yet, because a lot of the ones they do you have to buy 12 or 6.
She's like packs of 5 or 6, I think.
5 or 6, yeah. Where you can buy these one off for $14 a piece. And a good looking box. I mean, if you like the Power Rangers, it's definitely a good artwork on it. So, but just the one off idea that, because usually I don't know if I've seen Boom do boxes yet. In their stuff. I mean, obviously we've seen DC and we've seen Marvel do their stuff, and Boom's willing to let it go at one piece, I guess.
116.
Okay.
So we have Once and Future issue number 30. This is the final issue of this series from Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora. This series started super strong, and then it kind of lost its. I shouldn't say that it lost its way. It lost its focus. It started off as this story about a very different take on King Arthur and his court, and then in the second or third volume, all of a sudden now we're introducing other mythos like Beowulf and stuff like that into the story. So I feel like it kind of lost its focus on what it was. So I haven't read anything past the third volume at this point. I do intend to pick this story back up and see where it ends. But anyway, this is the final issue, so that series will be wrapping up, and we'll see that final trade pretty soon. I'm on 138.
Okay, I got 131. From Dark Horse, we have Dead Mall #1. And we're in an abandoned mall, and I love abandoned malls. Actually, I don't care if they're abandoned or not. If they got stuff in them, either way, I just love malls.
Did you read Paper Girls?
I haven't finished Paper Girls yet. I read the first volume. But
and speaking of Paper Girls, yeah. I watched the first episode of the series on Amazon.
You've had time to watch that too?
I know.
I'm not impressed.
I want your life.
Yeah.
You're not impressed though, Scott?
I'm not impressed with the Paper Girls TV series, the first episode. So I've only seen the first episode.
All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
131. Yeah.
So we're in an abandoned mall, and before it gets demolished, a group of teenagers decide to break in and take one last look around. They quickly find a bunch of horrors within this mall, with an R on the end, horrors. This was it's written by, I don't know the writer, Adam Cesare, maybe, or Cesare, I don't know. But he is evidently the winner of the 2020 Bram Stoker Award and for a story he did called Clown in a Cornfield. So he's got some horror awards in there. So if you're looking for a horror book, might be good.
Was it Day of the Dead? Was that the
one in the mall?
The one in the mall? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's probably your favorite one of those two.
Yes. And then my favorite season of Stranger Things is the one that takes place in the mall. Absolutely, yeah. I'm an easy target there. And on the next page, 132, just another book that's in the High Republic new wave of High Republic books, since Dark Horse now has the secondary titles for Star Wars. They've got a one shot, and they're not an ongoing, just a little one shot, I guess they're doing there.
138 is what I got next.
Okay, I don't have anything for a while. You're good.
Okay, so still in Dark Horse, and this is a much reminder for me as a Mind Management bootleg number 4. This is the final issue of this Matt Kent series based on his mind management process. I'm saying this as much to remember to order the cover seed variant because it has the special mind management playing card, which I still don't know if it's tied to the board game or if it's just a regular playing card. So I had to order these just in case. So I may be disappointed, but I think I'll be getting the first issue here like this week. I think it just came out in the last couple weeks, so I should be seeing that soon. So
cool.
And then I don't have anything again until we get to the small publishers. So
I think I'm in the same. 302 is my next one.
Oh wow, okay, I'm about to scroll really, really fast because I'm still scrolling in like the 140s. So let me scroll down here a little bit.
I can take time a bit with 224.
Okay.
Chicken Devils Volume 2, new series. I didn't pick up the issue by issue on this. I wanted to, but I'm going to have to get the trade because now that I see the Volume 2 pop up here, I want to get it. And it's written by Brian Buccellato and art by Mattia Monaco. The world's first and perhaps only hot chicken sandwich inspired vigilante. So I don't know what it was that caught my eye about this character in this book, but I'm going to get the trade for the first volume, or maybe I can find it somewhere like on Comixology, and maybe order this first issue of the second volume.
I'm still trying to find my page number. I forgot to put the page number down on this one. And crashed.
Mike, the Chicken Devil Volume 1 is solicited for this month, so it's in the back of the Aftershock section.
Okay, good.
So you can pick that up there and get caught up with everything.
Nice.
Right. 220 is where I'm at. You make anything for 220? So the second portfolio of the Marvel Classic Blacklight posters is solicited. So the first one had 12. This one continues that with 12 additional posters. And apparently this is the last of the initial series of 24. So I guess that's why they broke them up into 12. So these, I've bought these and broken them up to sell to people, and people just gobble them up. So because you cannot touch these for $125, even a single one of them. So these reprints are excellent. So
what page is that on again?
That's on 202, or excuse me, 220. 220.
Okay.
220.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. 269 is my next one.
Still good on my end.
Okay, so I still have only read the first issue of this series, New Think. I thought this was supposed to be a 5-issue limited series, but this does not say that it is the final issue here for New Think 5. Shad, is that how you remembered that?
I do not remember actually, but I read issue 2 last night, and I'm still not impressed.
Still not impressed. Okay, well, I've got issue. I should have that really. It's not 269 either. What page is it? It's 271.
Yep.
Yeah. So okay, that's
Remind me of the
so.
premise of that, because
So Black Mirror, the Black Mirror TV show. This is basically when technology goes bad, what happens. So if you've seen any of the Black Mirror Netflix series, or I'm trying to just any technology goes wrong type of a story.
Okay.
This is a series of books, and I just realized because I'm slow sometimes that here on 271 they have the picture of the cover of 271, and it's got like the image of a missing image. So I thought that the catalog had a problem, but I realized that that's actually the cover that they are putting on that.
Yes.
So that is very clever, and it tricked me. So
I wanted to plug one other book. It was another one of those indie books I've been picking up, Astronaut Down in Aftershock. Aftershock's putting out a lot of good stuff, I think. This is the other good series. I think there's 2 or 3 other ones that are mediocre to poor, but Astronaut Down, just like Public Domain, I would highly recommend it. And we're on issue 5 now, so you probably can just wait for the trade, but it's excellent so far.
I think I have the first issue of that. I just haven't read it yet. So
yeah.
273. I missed the second issue of this series, but this is from Binge Books. Blue Baron #3, written by Darren Henry, art by Ron Friends and Sal Buscema. And this is how I take this company is they are just making new Copper Age stories. So I feel like with that creative team, that's kind of what they're going for here with this Blue Baron book. So again, they're in my to read pile. I haven't gotten around to them yet, but they are something that I'm gonna keep picking these books up, if for nothing else than to support this concept of the going back to the Copper Age of storytelling and those types of heroes. So I think I'm on 278 next.
Still good on my end.
Okay, so 278, Illumination Stories by Alan Moore, hardcover, 464 pages. We have several short stories. This is prose, so no pictures for this book. But we have several Alan Moore stories inside of this Illuminations from, who's it from? Bloomsbury. Then 306.
I got 302.
Okay.
You caught up to me finally. On 302 from Fantagraphics is the Love and Rockets, the first 50, the classic 40th anniversary collection is what they're calling it. I like the Love and Rockets books. I've read the first 3 volumes or so. I like the Hernandez brothers, and they're just their way of creating very just normal day by day stories that it's not big to do. It's kind of just day in the life of people.
Kind of like Terry Moore's oh my gosh, Strangers in Paradise.
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay.
But this is definitely only if you're a hardcore fan, because this is a $400 collection of 8 volumes hardcover. It's pretty. It looks great. It'll be awesome on the shelf. Not for me. I don't love Love and Rockets that much, but if you do, this might be for you.
306.
You got a monster alert?
We got a Universal Monsters alert here from Fantico Enterprises. We have the monster art of Basil Gogos. It's a new printing hardcover, and there are apparently at least 3 different covers. One of them has Bela Lugosi Dracula, one of them has a creature from Black Lagoon, and then the Wolf Man. So the artwork is excellent on the covers. So I guess I assume that is Basil Gogos. Who knows how bad I'm butchering that name, but yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mike, you got to talk about 311?
Not before I talk about 298, where I'm looking at the dynamic forces. The people that love to have the books graded, and then this Action Comics 1 facsimile, they're pricing at $100. Well, $84 with the with the discount, but yeah, just because it's been slabbed. Oh my!
Wow.
Well, okay, where are we at? 111 or
I figure you're at 311.
311.
Because you like to point these out here, the creators you should know.
Yeah. Let me get to it so I can.
Surprise! Yeah.
Roy Boy.
Yep.
Roy Thomas. That should be a good one. Roy Thomas for our listeners that are already in the know and are probably from around here, so they should know this, but Roy Thomas is from a town in southeast Missouri, and we're all from southern Illinois, so somewhat close. He's from Jackson, Missouri, and anyway, they're kind of giving a little bit of a shout out to Roy here. He started out at DC for a hot minute and couldn't work with Mort Weisinger.
Like 8 days?
yeah, but who could? But he really made a name for himself with the Invaders and Conan, and eventually he did make his way back to DC and became because anybody that's involved or read any Alter Ego, they know that he's started in fandom and is a fanzine publisher, writer, editor, etc. But his real bailiwick is with the Golden Age, and whenever he took over, he became sort of the de facto Earth 2 Golden Age specialist or expert, and took over, started a new series called All-Star Squadron, which featured all the Earth 2 heroes back in the Golden Age, retelling a lot of those All-Star comic stories, but with a modern sensibility, I guess. And he's had runs on the X-Men and the Avengers and Thunder Agents, and
he was really the guy that when Stan Lee sort of stepped back from being the primary writer at Marvel, he really stepped into being the primary writer, because he was there, like he helped create or co-create Morbius and lots of characters. They show Conan the Barbarian #1 there. So he's been in the biz for a long time. So
sure has. I mean, I'm glad you brought this up, because I was scrolling and probably would have passed it right up.
Well, I try to take care of you, Mike. Despite what you think.
I'm not as prepared as I usually am.
Despite what you think, I try to take care of you. My next thing's on 337.
Same.
Okay, go ahead.
Is yours the Abolition of Man?
Abolition of Man, yes it is. So.
The Abolition of Man is evidently the first computer-generated comic book with a big asterisk in there, because it's not as cool as it actually sounds, I don't think. So what they've done is they have fed a AI image generator the book/essay that is The Abolition of Man from C.S. Lewis, and let the image generator create things as it goes, sentence by sentence. And then they're painted over, it sounds like, by an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part was like, well, the images were created from, you fed a sentence into a thing and it gave you an image back, but it didn't write the book, and it didn't color the book or anything like that. So I'm sure that there are some artistic liberties that were taken with the painting, but still kind of a cool concept, and one that I don't see like taking over as like the next big thing across the board. It's just a fun little look at this thing.
And I like the idea of taking the C.S. Lewis Abolition of Man essay and just that's what's being read in as for the computer to draw. It's like, here's a sentence, draw this image, and then they can pick and choose, out of that what they actually want to use inside of the story. So there's a bunch of these AI art generators. The one that I had heard of previously was called the Dolly. It's DALL-E, I think is the correct one. But I think we're going to see a lot of this in the future. You have people such as myself who can't draw. They're going to be able to describe something to this machine, this AI, this artificial intelligence, and it will come out with an image for them. And these images, most of the time, are free to use. Now, the AI engine has the rights to keep it and use it themselves. So if you come up with $1 billion idea, they get access to that $1 billion idea or $1 billion, concept. But I think we're going to see more of this moving forward. So
that's cool.
Well, yes and no. It's going to be, it's like, okay, do you want to see computer generated art or do you want to see art generated from a person?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I think I want to see more art generated by a person than I want to see computer generated art.
Yeah, I think I meant cool in the technology sense. I didn't mean
right.
Yeah.
As the consumer. So I retract that.
338, which is just the next page. What did I have here? I don't know. Oh no, 388. I'm sorry, I can't read my own typing. That's how bad it is. I can't read my type.
Retro typing.
Yeah.
Well, then I got 368. 368 is from Opus Comics, is Bill and Ted Present Death one shot. I don't know why I always have to point out the Bill and Ted books, but I do. And this is a one shot, focusing on the character Death out of the Bill and Ted stories, our movies, and it is they're going on to a rock concert with Beethoven, and that's really the whole concept. There's not much else to it. But it's priced at $6.66, which I can appreciate. And on the other page, on page 369, there's also the Monsters of Metal one shot, which is a bunch of your monsters. It's Medusa, werewolf. They call it Jack, but I don't know if it's Jack-o'-lantern or the Headless Horseman. It's a pumpkin-headed fella. You've got the Bride, and then someone else that I can't quite tell who it is. It's our A cover on there. But
what page is that again?
It's on 369.
Let's see if I can.
But it doesn't say who
it says.
And Christensen's the artist. So
yeah, that's weird that
they identify the other four covers as who they are, but the first one, I don't know. I can't. It's too dark to tell who it is. But it's exactly what you think it is. It's the monsters, and they have a metal band, and they're on tour. It's just a goofy little one shot, also priced at $6.66.
I think the first one's supposed to be Frankenstein, just with a mohawk. Frankenstein's a monster with a mohawk.
That's what I was gonna guess originally, especially with the Bride being in the band.
He's in a lab, and there's lightning, and
yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to the lightning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that's supposed to. And he's got all the the scars and the stitch lines on his arms and such. If you click on the link in the digital, it'll take you to a better image of it online.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
My paper copy doesn't have a link.
Oh, you can't click on. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working?
Stupid technology. I'm just dealing with a book.
Don't forget, be excellent to each other. So
that's right.
All right. I'm on 388.
Okay.
You got anything before then? No. Okay. So 388. We have. Okay, I gotta get this page. Make sure I didn't type this in wrong, because the name just looks funny as how I have it typed. 87, 88. There it is. Hyper Aware. So you have this sci-fi. It's a one shot story. You have three astronauts who get stranded in deep space. They have to go back into hypersleep, but only two of them get to go back to hypersleep. So one of them has to live the remainder of their life as this ship slowly makes its way back home. Well, the two that went into sleep wake up, find out something happened to the other guy. So it's going to be this sci-fi mystery, about what happened. Kind of sounds a little bit like Passengers, that Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence movie. But I think this sounds like a good sci-fi story. 393 is where I'm at next.
I got 390 in Source Point Press. Also is Postmasters #1, and this is just a new series that they've got where it says post-pandemic America. I also think it seems a little post-apocalyptic as well. It's like if the pandemic didn't bode as well, I guess. But you have the last of the mail carriers working for the post office, and a mysterious letter shows up that must be delivered, because we all know that the post office's slogan is rain nor sleet and then nor dark of night, that they gotta get this letter delivered. So the story concept seems a little weak, but I like the idea of like the last postmaster kind of thing is kind of a cool idea.
This was a Kevin Costner movie, wasn't it? The Postman, or the
yeah, that'd be
It's a very similar concept, Let's see, 390 is still in Source Point. Man, that's like 3 books from Source Point. The Argus #1. So premise is a guy discovers time travel. they form an organization to control time travel, but the people who form the organization are all the other versions of the guy who discovered time travel, and then one of them goes crazy and starts killing the other versions of himself. So yeah, it's variants, time traveling, and having trouble with that. So interesting. Again, sci-fi. It's one of my go-tos. So
You sold that in a much better, tighter way than they did. Because when I read that, I was like, I don't really care about that. But in your one sentence breakdown of it, I was like, that sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So and the Argus is that's named after the organization that's formed. That's policing the timelines. So 410.
I'm at top 425.
Okay, so 410, if you ever wanted to know more about Vasquez from Aliens, you're getting your wish, because we have Aliens Vasquez, and this is the story of everybody's favorite heavy machine gunner from the James Cameron Aliens movie. So there you go. 414 is my next thing.
I got Alter Ego 179 on page 411. Thought it was kind of funny that they're celebrating the 61st anniversary of the Fantastic Four, because they kind of blew right past its 60th. They totally missed it.
Well, maybe it's 61st because they started in 61.
No, they say right here in the solicit,
okay.
they blew right past it. Yeah.
I like that they just admitted it. They just front on it.
Yeah. So.
I like mine better. I like the 61st.
Yeah, that.
414.
Okay. Oh, I know you're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, we got another monster spiting. So these are offered again books, but we have a offered again Dracula, the original graphic novel written by Bram Stoker with art by I misread that. I thought it said Al McWilliams. Cover art by Frank Frazetta, but really what I was going to point out was the Neil Adams monsters. And here we have some reprints from Echoes of Future Past, which was a Neil Adams like a anthology type book, and we have some covers with the monster, with Dracula, with the werewolf, and I'm not sure what the fourth cover is, the hardcover. I mean, excuse me. That's just like a kind of a combination, but so if you want Neil Adams monster work, here's your chance.
And that's not what I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh, really? What do you think I was going to talk about? The After Midnight?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, because I don't like the premise of that book. So what Mike's referring to is After Midnight, Watchmen after Watchmen. So it's basically saying 3 adaptions of Moore and Gibson's Watchmen, and they say Zack Snyder, which was an adaptation, but then they also say Doomsday Clock, not an adaptation, and the Watchmen TV series is not an adaptation. So they take place, the Doomsday Clock takes place in another universe, just happen to use those characters. And the TV series takes place in the same universe, but it's not an adaptation of Watchmen. So this is a flaw.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the literal sense, they aren't. But I'm thinking it would be interesting to do a crosswalk between those 3 versions, you can call it then. They're using the name title, the same symbolism, the same. Doomsday Clock's the one that's the most removed, but as a coffee table type thing or a prose book, or comics journalism type book, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to.
Where did you come up with the words comic journalism? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. Funny how you come up with the words when you just look at the solicit. Yeah.
Don't want to know what to say, just read it right off the page.
That's right. No shame there.
Okay, so 416. Be interesting to see if these books from Valiant actually make it out based on what we talked about early on. But we only have Bloodshot and Book of Shadows, Archer and Armstrong, Armorclads. Okay, so there's still several here. It'll be interesting to see how many of those make it out. Yeah, and the Exo Man of War is just an ad. It's not even a.
Yeah, that's a promise for a book to come, though.
And the Ninjak is an advanced solicit, and actually that's the original Ninjak story. That's not even a new Ninjak story. So there's really only 3 new books. Is it 3 or 4?
3 new books and a trade.
Those Archer and Armstrong, then a trade, So it's only 3 new books. So they're line is diminishing even prior to, what we talked about earlier. So I'm done with side 1. So whatever you guys have on side 1.
My last thing is on 425 is the Nightfall double feature from Vault. This is just a new series that they're starting, but it's a double feature, and it would be kind of cool to do. But it's just 2 comics together, and it's not like a half story because it's 64 pages for $8. But the 2 stories seem to be kind of cool. I mean, I like the idea of having 2 stories together. One of them is about these human bones that start growing in inanimate objects, and they have to figure out like where they're coming from and why. And then the other is a cross-country family road trip that goes bad. So some cool horror concepts in there, and I like it when people are trying to do something different, like the flip book that Dark Horse is doing right now, flip horror book where they got on either side. So I'm down.
As long as it's the same title on both sides of the flip book. I hate flip books where you have 2 different titles.
How do you
which is
file
something
it?
like that Valiant did for an image of both done, where it's like, I don't know where to put this in my collection. How do I sort it in? I'm so confused. You got anything else on side 1, Mike?
No, I don't think I do.
I only have one thing on side 2.
I got a couple.
Okay, well, I'm on 42, so you just go until we get to 42.
All right.
Load my page because my PDF crashed again.
Jeez. On 31, we have Marvel Retro Legends 3 3/4 figure for Moon Knight. I don't feel like, I mean, there's a handful of them, but I don't feel like we see a lot of Moon Knight figures. And so I was like, oh, I like that we see them. I'm not going to get it, but I like to look at it. So that's just a brief mention there. On 34, we have, these are offer agains, but these pop Halloween masks. They have one for Oogie Boogie, and they have one from Nightmare Before Christmas, and then they have one for the Green Ranger. They're just so weird, and I just had to point it out because it's weird, because it's the pop head, but you're supposed to wear it as a mask, and so it's like these ultra wide noggins that you're gonna have on your face. So they're there. They're offered again. I've never seen them before though.
What page were you on, Chet?
That was on 34.
34. On 26, this caught my eye, the DC Comics bendy figures. I remember having these as a kid. I don't know which ones, probably like Superman or something, but they're like a kind of a hard rubber, but still flexible. Mm-hmm. But for $20 a piece, probably not. Just it seems kind of fun though.
That's not they have Lord of the Rings bendy figures in here too. I was like, that's not the only bendy figure I saw. I thought the same thing, like, oh, that'd be kind of cool, and then I saw the price and I was like, no, not that
cool.
Cool.
That's where they get me normally on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In this side of the catalog is the price.
Oh yeah.
Well, when you only sell like 2 or 3 of these things, you have to really jack up the price to make any money.
Oh, I see your Lord of the Rings bendy figures. Those are cool too. Yeah.
And then 42. Go ahead.
42 got a couple of things here. Monster sighting. We have I'll say the least important one, I think, of the 2. Universal Monsters versus TMNT. You have April as the bride.
The least important. I was so excited about that.
The more interesting item, I think, is the Universal Monsters Ring of Dracula Collector Edition prop replica. So you have a prop replica of the Ring of Dracula, I assume, from the black and white Dracula movie. $25, I guess, is not terrible, but I don't know. Universal Monsters, so we're just throwing it out there.
That's right.
And I'm done with side 2. Oh, okay. All right, then. So it's time for Mike's favorite part of every single episode. Where we ask him. We'll start with the easy one first. Okay, so what are you looking forward to?
Yes.
In this issue of previews.
It's going to have to be the default of the Dark Crisis, where it says Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. I know they introduced that last issue, but this is the first full issue with that concept, so I think that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't have a clue on investment.
No investment pick. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that I think is worth pointing out investment pick wise here.
The one thing I remember, just because you pointed it out, was that Eben character in Static.
Okay.
But you can
That's
have
fine.
that
Just take mine. It's okay. It's all right. Shad, you got a book you're looking forward to?
It's a little bit of a stretch this time around for even just books I'm excited for, but I would say I'm excited for the Miracle Man, the issue 0 and issue 1, only because I've never read Miracle Man, and I think this is the thing that's going to get me to finally make the jump into reading Miracle Man. Though I don't know, do I start from the beginning? Do I just read the Neil Gaiman, Mark Buckingham run for starters?
They're going to have to make that accessible. They can't assume that all the history, because those books aren't even necessarily easy to find.
No,
Right.
you couldn't find. I mean, it started out in the 50s where it was called
Warrior, right?
Marvel Man, which was a riff off of Captain Marvel, the Fawcett character, and then
Or do you start with the Alan Moore run? Is that probably a good place
you
to
know
hop
what? You
on?
might, if you could find that out of like Eclipse Comics, if there was any of that reprinted somewhere.
Yeah, I think they have done the collections of the Moore run. I think there's like 3 books of those, and then there's one of the Gaiman.
But of course,
Buckingham
Alan
run.
Moore, actually, before he even started with Eclipse, I think he was writing this character in these black and white magazines.
Yeah, I think that's right. The Warrior was one of those,
yeah.
maybe magazine. Yeah. So I'm excited for that because I think it's just gonna will be the tipping point to me jumping into that character.
And I totally changed my favorite, most look forward to. I'm joining the Shad Schubert camp because I forgot about that.
On Miracle Man. I don't think either one of you are wrong there, so that's definitely something I will be looking forward to. I'll go ahead and throw in, and it's mainly because they're actually the last issues of these series, so it's like, okay, I know I need to sit down and read these now as soon as I get the chance, but Once and Future and that last issue of Mind Management bootleg, to know that that's coming. Oh, and I didn't even mention this when we were going through it. The Mind Management bootleg issue 4 has art by Jill Thompson. So
really?
So that should be good. And Shad, I know you have a little bit of a Vertigo fan in you, and she was a big artist at Vertigo. So.
Oh yeah,
she did a lot of Wonder Woman stuff.
As far as an investment book, I think it's pretty light this month. I mean, any number of things, you could throw out there. That issue of Static. You could throw out even something as silly as like Dark Ride #1. But real, there's nothing that I'm like, oh, this is something that I feel like I have to pick up just in case. None of these really feel like
the only thing that stood out to me was maybe the Damn Them All book, the Charlie Adler book, only because his name is hot when it comes to picking up properties. And this is the concept behind this was reminded me a little bit of there was a book called Outcast that Robert Kirkman did that had a lot to do with demons, and that was more of a taking over bodies exorcism kind of book, but kind of it reminded me enough of that I went, oh, that would be like, if I really wanted to pick up another book that was kind of like Outcast, that would be the next book I would pick up. And they did a TV show on Outcast, so they did like 2 seasons on it on like Cinemax or something like that.
Really?
I had it. Yeah,
I didn't know that they did an Outcast series.
Cinemax. Oh.
But it wasn't like your traditional Cinemax type thing. If you know,
that's
Cinemax. Right after you watched Emmanuel.
CIN, not SIN.
Not Skinamax.
Skinamax.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
But yeah, that would be the only thing that caught my eye potentially for investment.
Maybe the Argus, just because you got the whole concept of time travel, variance, and that kind of lines in with like the Loki show series. So that might be something, somebody wants something similar, but not Loki.
That's true. Yeah.
There you go. So, all right. So, Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you. Oh, no, before we go there, Shad, what's up next? What's on episode 138?
Up next on 138, we're going to be covering the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie, as well as covering everything, a big deep dive into the San Diego Comic-Con 2022.
And a CLZ shake, just because we can.
That's right.
All right, Mike, if somebody wants to reach out to you, where would they do that at?
At the ever popular m.atchison90@gmail.com.
Your email address is just blowing up. I know it is.
It is. I can't hardly keep up.
That's why you didn't have time to prep for this episode.
Exactly.
Shad, what about you?
You can find me on Facebook at Shad Schubert. That's ShaadSchubert. And I'm going to plug something else differently this week. I'm going to check out, if you like podcasts, my other podcast. We're doing a rewatch series on the cartoon series Rocko's Modern Life. So check out That Was a Hoot. Yeah, we're doing that every other week.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, BURG comics.com. And there you'll find links to my Facebook page, my eBay store, a couple of conventions worth mentioning at this point. August 20th, I'll be in Evansville, Indiana for the Southern Indiana Comic Show. And what's nice about this one is it's actually just comics. There's about 16 dealers selling almost exclusively comic books. So that's always fun. The bad part is I want to have a whole lot of time to go look around because I'll be at my table selling books. But and then September 3rd, Berg Comics Con 2022 will be happening in Harrisburg, Illinois. All right, that wraps up this episode, and we'll be back with episode 138 in the near future.
And I found this series that I just put up for sale, but it's only 5 issues. It really sounded kind of interesting, and I thought it might be something we could read at some point in the future. I haven't even looked to see how much it costs on Comixology yet, but let me find it here. I think it's called Black Stars Above. I think it's what it's called. Oh man, I got my Comixology app opened up to Marvel, so I can't pull it up on Comixology. Let me just find it.
Black Stars Above.
Stars Above. It's like
Bonnie Nadler and Jenna Cha.
Yeah, yep. And it's set in like 1870 something.
Yeah, 1887.
There you go. And
Where are you looking at this? I'm looking at it on Comixology or Amazon, I guess.
Here we go. Here's the Vault. So it's from Vault. So it is 1877. Eulalia Du Bois is offered a small fortune to deliver a package through the wilderness to a nameless town. Lost in a relentless winter storm, Eulalia soon finds something sinister lurks in the forest, seeking what she carries. So it's 5 issues. I don't know.
And you're offering this up as a
potential, you know. As an indie at some point in the future. I think we got the next 2 episodes planned, so
yeah.
And maybe by then it'll show up on Comixology for free or something.
Yeah. Is it a Western? Is it a horror? Is it a
It's a horror, sci-fi Western would be how I would describe it.
Looks interesting. I like something that's historical.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, just throwing that out there just as a possibility.
I'll put it on the list.
Okay, good. We got the keeper of the list. Black. Oh my gosh! Ezra Miller got charged with felony burglary in Vermont today. And they're still going to do a Flash movie with him.
No, they won't. No. That movie's...
as of right now, it is still a go. So,
yeah.
On May 1st,
burglary?
Yeah. Was notified on the afternoon of May 1st of a burglary complaint with several bottles of alcohol taken from a home in Stanford while its owners were away. And the surveillance footage that they identified as Ezra Miller. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Oh my God. What a fall from grace. Not that he was ever
in
grace, but...
Recording next episode 8/22 at 6 p.m.
What did you say, 8/22?
8/22, yep. That's what you said.
Oh, that's the date. I was thinking that was the episode number. No, I mean the episode number.
Oh, next episode.
Wait, we haven't done that many. There's your spot for the back end of the podcast.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad I'm still recording.